Welcome to my quarterly astrological forecast for the June solstice to the September equinox of 2024. Sign up for this quarterly newsletter at jmvedic.com to receive it directly in your inbox. And here are the key astrological dates to mark on your calendar for the next 3 months, and I will discuss them one by one. July 5th, the new moon in Cancer. A new moon in her own sign of Cancer is the time of year for an emotional reset. The sun and moon are both our senses of our core identity, and Cancer is a Brahmin sign, and these are the signs that elevate our self-awareness and our spiritual consciousness. So this new moon helps us to be more honest about our deepest emotional needs, which really means our spiritual needs, and to see ourselves beyond our day-to-day concerns. This new moon is best for setting the intention to express our emotional needs to loved ones with the utmost clarity and self-awareness. Venus is also in Cancer on this day, which brings into perspective the emotional quality of our relationships. Are you burdening a significant other with your own emotional needs? Do you feel undervalued or underloved? Are you overly investing yourself in minor decisions having to do with partners? While both the moon and Venus are gentle feminine planets, they actually aren't very compatible together because of the excessive amount of empathy involved, which can cause naivete and also self-deception with regards to where your emotions end and where other people's emotions begin. So be able to make that distinction. Is it something that I need, or is it something we both need? And be more respectful about what your partner will need emotionally and even practically. So this can be a time to address where in a relationship we're feeling emotionally discontent, and then set the intention to be more diplomatic emotionally while nurturing the positive and productive elements in your relationships. July 12th through July 19th, Mars and Uranus conjunction with the exact conjunction date July 16th. No two planets are more explosive together than Mars and Uranus. This conjunction happens every 23 months and produces a sudden burst of mental activity and physical energy, which needs to be directed into a productive activity. Exercising more than usual, putting in that extra effort at work, following an inspired thought down an intriguing rabbit hole of ideas, and doing something new in your day-to-day routine just to see how it turns out are some simple ways to satisfy the urges of this conjunction, because the quickened pace and rhythm of life feels very palatable during the week of this conjunction. From July 12th until the 19th is when repressed ideas and urges can no longer be held down. So follow your inner voice to do something new, even if, or rather especially if, it seems strange at first or not very characteristic of yourself. Uranus brings new things into our life so that we can become more truer expressions of our sun. And the sun is the core of our personality that never changes even as we age. Uranus is about liberating us from our old and outdated versions of ourselves, while Mars is about the mental concepts of how we shouldn't or should do something. So don't be afraid of thinking outside the box about how you believe that you would act in a certain way. And this is the take a walk on the wild side kind of energy that feels very freeing as soon as you embrace it and then act it out. So it's very important to remember that repressing your inner inspiration to do or say something during this time is going to cause erratic energy shifts. And so that kind of repression can lead to sudden accidents, putting yourself into dangerous situations, can cause frustrations that suddenly boil over and cause angry outbursts, or result in impulsive behavior and impulsive decisions that you look back on later with regret. But overall, this is a very exciting and fun time to look for new things in your life that you're intuitively drawn towards, with the added boost of energy to help you actually go out and pursue them. August 6th through August 28th, Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo and then enters Leo and then goes direct again in Leo. August 14th and 15th, there's a Mars and Jupiter conjunction. And during that conjunction, Saturn will be squaring both Mars and Jupiter, and Venus will be in opposition to Saturn at that same time, while also squaring that conjunction. So we have this major grouping of planetary interactions, and the month of August is going to be the most active time in the next 3-month period. And most specifically, it will be from the time of August 14th to August 19th. So first, Mercury will be retrograde in his exalted sign of Virgo, and then moving into Leo. And because Mercury is exalted, you can expect a much stronger than usual ability for observing minor details and then analyzing details about whatever life themes that Mercury is retrograding through. So whatever houses Mercury is retrograding through, you're going to have this strong ability for acute observation of details. And Mercury retrograde is all about recognizing patterns in your life that are working or aren't working, and then fixing them so that they become more fluid and efficient in your day-to-day practical matters. The major transit in August is the Mars and Jupiter conjunction, when our energy and problem-solving ability, which is Mars, is supporting our inspiration to do what makes us feel good internally, which is Jupiter. And in a natal chart and also in transit, this is a wealth-forming combination, because when these two fire planets are working together, we're driven to do what we're most passionate about. And the byproduct is that we're generating abundance and happiness around us, which is what naturally happens when we're actively doing what we love to do. The sobering news is that Saturn is throwing a square aspect right at the exact dates of the conjunction, which can result in slowing your progress down when we're forced to be realistic when we would much rather be more idealistic and optimistic. Saturn's gaze is when doubt can slowly creep in, and the feeling of uncertainty about where to expand in our life and where we should be cutting back, specifically in regards to the house cusp that falls in the sign of Gemini in your chart, because the Jupiter and Mars conjunction is in Gemini. The plans you are carrying out up until August 15th can easily become disrupted, and you may need to stop what you're working towards, take a break, and allow the pieces to fall where they may before carrying on. Pushing too hard and not respecting Saturn's square, which is a difficult and disrupting aspect, can make you not know when to stop, which just leads to wasting valuable time and energy. Very likely you will already be aware of whatever it is that is causing you to slow down, and it's not going to be a surprise to you. It's something that is already on your radar, and you know is something that's unsustainable, not working, or some kind of problem that you've been putting off till later. Saturn forces us to rest and to recharge ourselves, and sometimes it's the best course of action to do nothing and just wait for a little while and then return to it. But not stopping when it's necessary to stop, especially when it's involving Mars, this can lead to severe miscalculations or misjudging the nature of a problem. And it can mean putting your energy where it's not needed, such as not minding your own business and trying to force something to work that is simply not meant to work. Saturn's square of Jupiter will actually help you see the circumstances from a bird's eye view and realize that no amount of effort is going to change the things that are meant to happen. So again, it's best to step back, observe, let the pieces fall as they may, and take a standpoint of wisdom and self-education rather than the Mars attitude of trying to force something to happen. So Saturn's square to Mars ends on August 19th, and Saturn's square to Jupiter ends on August 30th. But again, this energy is going to be affecting for the most part throughout the month of August, because the activities that are leading up to the exact conjunction on the 16th are going to be already in play, and then the square results are going to kind of fade away as the month moves on. So there is some good news to this rather difficult square of Saturn onto the otherwise optimistic conjunction of Mars and Jupiter, and that is that Venus is Rasi aspecting the conjunction. And a Rasi aspect is means a sign. It's a technique from Gemini astrology when all of the movable signs aspect the fixed signs, except the fixed sign next to it. All the fixed signs aspect all the movable signs except the movable sign next to it. And all the dual signs aspect one another. And that aspect is exact when the two planets are in opposite Navamsha divisions from one another. So a little bit complicated to explain in just a short video, but Venus will be making that Rasi aspect onto that conjunction, which is going to help soften some of the mental burdens caused by the disrupted plans and expectations we may be having. We may not like how events are transpiring, but Venus is there to teach us that even when events are not flowing in the way we would like them to flow, we can still benefit from the invaluable learning opportunities and see where there can be hidden upsides to the situation. Unfortunately, these learning opportunities are not going to feel very satisfactory, at least during that time period, because Venus will be debilitated in Virgo. On August 18th and 19th, Venus will be directly opposite Saturn when Saturn is in Pisces. And this can cause us to look very seriously at our relationships and determine what is valuable in them and what needs to be discarded from them. So in this time period, be very wary of self-pity, self-doubt, and beating yourself up for your own faults or the faults of others. In short, don't be a victim. Saturn rules time and Venus rules our self-worth. So focus on how to improve yourself from a long-term perspective, and that any feelings of sadness and fatigue will eventually pass. So don't wallow in those sensations. September 17th, a full moon in Pisces with Mercury in opposition to Saturn. So the full moon in Pisces every year is the most imaginative full moon, and a full moon in the sign of our awareness of unlimited consciousness is when our dreams can be the most vivid and our spiritual needs come to the forefront. So this full moon will be also conjunct Saturn at about 10 degrees away from Saturn, which can give rise to more serious-minded thinking and philosophical rumination with a somewhat of a fatalistic tone. So don't be afraid of confronting the darker currents in your psyche, such as notions of death, our limitations as a flawed human being, and the necessity of certain experiences to end for other new experiences to begin. Meanwhile, Mercury is in exact opposition with Saturn on this day, which can further a sense of dwelling on the practical difficulties and the hardships we have in daily life. Saturn and Mercury are very friendly planets to one another, and so the positive side is that we can readily observe what's not working in our practical affairs, in our economic life, and in our communication style, and then work to get rid of them. So this conjunction of Saturn opposition of Mercury teaches us that very often it's just as valuable to know what isn't working as it is to know what is working. So all of these transits are chart sensitive, meaning that they affect each person differently based on where the planets and house cusps are falling in your natal chart. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you'll find the link to my readings in the description of this video. And again, if you would like to receive these quarterly updates in written form and also video form in your inbox, sign up to the newsletter in the description of this video. Okay, thank you for listening.